people in this country. How do you intend to achieve that in 5 years? What plans will you put in place to make sure that no Kenyan sleeps hungry within 5 years?
Robert Mbui. We'll take 5, Florence.
Thank you, Speaker. I would like to ask the nominee that we've all heard the proposal to increase savings. And the first thing that comes to mind is that in this country, the mamambogas, the boda-bodas, and those peasant farmers are struggling to even put food on the table and to educate their children. How do you reconcile those two? Increasing savings when people cannot even afford the basic needs. And then, how will you assure workers that if these savings are increased, that their money will be safe? Because I think the vehicle we are intending to use is NSSF, which in the past has been riddled with very serious cases of misuse of workers' money. In fact, I will tell you that there is a lot of corruption cases that occurred during the days of YK92, where they turned NSSF into a cash cow. What will you do to ensure this doesn't happen again?
When?
Thank you, Speaker Chair. I just have one question, and I note also that you are a teacher like I was before. And yes, so represent the teachers well. But I want to say, over the years, we have witnessed large strikes in public sector that have affected the economy adversely. The doctors strike, the nurses, teachers. Today, Kenya Airways is a national strategic asset. We have also witnessed industrial unrest occasioned by pilots. The pilot union at the airline. As we sit here today, the pilot union has issued a strike notice to the management. How do you intend to put to an end, once and for all the industrial problems posed by the constant pilot strikes that contribute significantly to crippling the already cash-strapped airline? This question is courtesy of the pilots themselves. They'll be watching you as you answer this. Thank you.
Answer those 6. They have been very short. I expect your answers to be equally short.
Thank you, Chair. Let me start with the question that has been asked by the Deputy Speaker on the key pillars on universal social security and how to revamp social security. Let me start by saying this is a flagship project for this government, and the President has been very passionate about saving for the future. I know NSSF has been the fund that has been taking care of this, and maybe challenges have been there before. And what we want to speak to are the contributions that are made to NSSF. The 200 shillings that is paid by the worker and the employer is not enough to be able to save for the future. We have seen the challenges that beneficiaries have at the end or at retirement. They are not able to get those benefits because maybe the fund is not enough. It has not been invested in income generating projects. I think the savings have been earning very low interests, so the returns are not enough to be able to make meaningful benefits to the beneficiaries. However, I think we should look at what other countries are doing. When I looked at Uganda, looked at Tanzania, we are proposing in Kenya to raise the contributions to about 6% of our pay, of the pay of the workers. Across in Uganda, it is about 15%, 16%. So we are not even yet there. But we want to tell our people to save for the future. When we save more, we are guarding that future by having more contributions. The other thing that I know is that the contributions that we make is not pegged on the salaries that Kenyans have or the workers in Kenya get. For example, the person who gets a salary of 1 million still pays the 200 shillings. Really, we need to increase depending on the amount that a person is earning to be able to have better contributions and have a better contributions to NSSF. The other thing on universal social security is that we need Kenya to be able to be at the standard of ILO, where we have social security standards. The international standards are very high, and Kenya has not ratified that ILO standard, and we are yet to reach there. It will take maybe another 4 years for us to be able to reach at that international standard. That question I will still answer on the question that has been asked on the same later on, that was asked by Honorable Mbui. Now, the informal sector on NSSF savings that has been asked by Honorable Ichung'wa, how we bring in the informal sector to be able to pay into this NSSF. What I know is that currently we are getting contributions from the employed workers. We are not getting contributions from the informal sector, the mama mboga, the boda boda sector. We need to find a way how we can generate or how we can attract payments from the informal sector. Either we partner with Safaricom so that when you load airtime, part of it goes to NSSF, and be able to know how we can bring on board and ensure that these investments are productive, so that we are encouraged to save onto NSSF. Because right now we have SACCOs. We go to SACCOs because we get dividends. So I think NSSF should also be able to attract these people on board and be able to benefit the informal sector. Honorable Ichung'wa has also asked about the humane operations of the migrant workers. I want to empathize with the migrant workers that have gone to the Middle East and have been oppressed. They have been mistreated because of their stay there. And I want to say, no parent, no guardian sends a child across to the Gulf to expect them to come in a coffin or to expect them to be mistreated. They go there because of unemployment. They go there to look for jobs, to be able to improve their households back here. And I want to promise that I'll get to the bottom of this issue. And this issue has led to many deaths. When you talk about 62 deaths just this year, even that one life that we have lost as Kenya, we should find out what is happening. And I want to promise that I will look into it. My first action will be to look at, if I'm approved by this committee, is to be able to discuss with my counterpart in Saudi Arabia to be able to see what we can do to improve the conditions of these migrant workers. I'm happy to report that Parliament was able to approve 60 million to be able to create a safe home where we can put our migrant workers, the Kenyan workers who are in distress. Once we have them there, once we have the houses, maybe we can have those who are in desperate situations to hold them there as we prepare them to come back to Kenya, or even put them in other employment. The other challenge that we have as a Ministry of Labour is that the labour attaches that are in Gulf region are very few. For example, in Saudi Arabia, we only have one labour attaché that handles over 210,000 Kenyans who are spread across Saudi Arabia. So part of that money that has been approved will be employing about 10 labour attachés that will be able to spread them across Saudi Arabia in various cities so that they are able to handle them and be able to listen to them. My also thoughts are the workers that we have in Saudi Arabia are about 210,000. Within those cities, they should be able to be knowing who they are, who are there, be able to help each other, have some form of relaying of information from each other so that we have sort of kind of people who man them among themselves and be able to report to the labor attaches to be able to sort their problems in time. The other issue that I would be trying to look at is to be able to ensure that they have a welfare fund so that all the time they have issues, they can be helped. And I think they should also have some cover for medical, because it looks like when they are in problems, they are in health issues, they have health issues, they are not treated well and they suffer. And by the time they are back here, they will have undergone so many challenges. Another approach to this problem is a ministerial bloc that has been formed by the East African countries so that we don't approach this issue as a country alone. I know my predecessor had been able to do a meeting with the other 11 countries in East Africa, our neighbors, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Ethiopia, there are 11 countries. I'll be following up on that to see how far they are. Here, the minister in charge currently is Minister of Labor from Ethiopia, and I'll be following up to see how much they've done. Speaking on the same, I would want to say it is also good for us to open up markets, more markets than Saudi Arabia, be able to do bilateral labor agreements with other countries. We don't have to rely on Saudi Arabia alone. The other thing that needs to be done is to streamline NEA, National Employment Authority, that does the registration of these agencies. I'm told the agencies is about 500. There could be gaps within those agencies. And it is a multi-sectoral committee that does the vetting of these agencies. The Ministry of Interior is involved. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is involved. We have the DCI. We have almost 10 government organizations. That committee needs to be looked into, streamlined, be able to see what these agencies are doing and ensure that they are doing the right thing. The other proposal is to ensure that there is pre-departure training for these migrant workers. Some of them, they go to Saudi Arabia without the basic skills. They don't have the language, so once they reach there, they are not able to speak in English, so they are not able to communicate with the Saudis. Number two, if they don't go through this training, once they reach there, they may not be able to do the household activities that they are supposed to do, and also even to be given the basics about the culture of the Saudis. So my thoughts are, we have a mandatory pre-departure training and ensure that no Kenyan domestic worker goes out without that training to go and work in that country.
Point of intervention, Honorable Chair. The issue here being discussed is that many Kenyans who go to Saudi Arabia,
yes,
come back dead.
Yes.
Nobody's complaining about whether they have the ability to do the job, whether they need training. The issue is, why are they ending up dead? Mm-hmm. And has the Saudi Arabian, and I've never heard anyone saying that they're going to hold the Saudi Arabian government to account, because we have Saudi Arabians in Kenya, but they don't end up dead. Mm-hmm. But our children are ending up dead. So that is the issue. It doesn't matter how many committees or how many officers we send to Saudi Arabia, because they are not police officers. It is the police officers and the security forces in Saudi Arabia that are not protecting the migrant workers. So even if you send 100 embassy officials and attachés how will that protect them?
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I think it is also the system that is in Saudi Arabia. Once these migrant workers are in Saudi, they are under the mercies of the employer. They are not even supposed to move out of that household. They are not, that's why I was saying that pre-departure training will also try and help to show these Kenyans the kind of culture they have. They are within that household, that employer that has control over that person, that worker. So they do not get out of those homesteads. So even this, I agree, there is a problem and we need to address it. And I believe with the political goodwill, we are going to do much and stop this menace once and for all. Thank you.
All the questions.
Yes. Mr. Speaker.
A question on the airport.
The
airline.
The
I
jet.
thought she was noting them down.
My question.
I did.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the direction from the Speaker.
My question
Have you
on
answered
the
all?
pilot.
No, I have not finished.
Yes. No, that is a very serious case.
Thank you.
The Deputy Speaker's question was just an
I've finished and I've done Honorable Ichung'wa's.
All those 5 honorable members.
The third one by Honorable Ichung'wa was on the aging workforce in the international destinations. And he was asking, how can we help our youth be able to go and work there? I'm sure we can collaborate and see how we can create jobs for the youth. In terms of even, they don't even have to go there. They can do some of the jobs through the internet and help them. Honorable Andai asked about the unrests in Kericho, plucking machines that happened about 2 weeks ago, and even the one that happened about 2 days ago. The view on mechanized tea estates. As a Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, on labor issues, I want to say I'm ready to provide an environment for the businesses to be able to thrive in this country. Number 2, I would also provide an environment for the stakeholders to sit down and discuss. I'm aware the last agreement between FKE and the employees was that, and government was that 40% mechanization was being allowed and 60% employment for Kenyans, including the locals. So I want to believe where I am, the government's position is for the status quo to remain until we have the stakeholders on the table so that we can discuss and have dialogue. This is our country. We want jobs for our people, and we also, as a ministry, encourage mechanization to be done, but to a certain level. At the same time, employ our people. And I'll tell you, I come from that region, and you see tea farms that are very big, and maybe on my thoughts is that these multinational companies should also improve on CSR. What they're doing is not enough. They can do more than that. And then the land rates that are there are things that you can discuss on the table and agree and move on. Thank you. You also asked about the Kenya Kwanza manifesto on, I think it was about social security and unemployment. We cannot run away from unemployment in this country, and I want to believe that the Hustler Fund will be able to address this issue of unemployment, be able to provide money for the youths that are unemployed to be able to do their businesses, and encourage them that as even they do the businesses, they save for their retirement, they save for their future, and will be able to protect their investments in NSSF.
So is the Hustler Fund the equivalent of unemployment insurance envisaged in the Kenya Kwanza manifesto?
I'll relook at it I don't want to say I know everything, but I'll be able to sit down and relate that issue. And you're welcome to my office. We can discuss again. Hustler Fund is for all Kenyans. It is not just for Kenya Kwanza. Thank you. Honorable Junet, my friend in Parliament, we were on different sides, but we related well, and I want to say thank you. Your question was on unemployment, the employment of population. We have youth that are very many that do not have experience, and every time they want to get employment, they are asked for their experience. I know through NITA, we can be able to take up youths that have finished various courses and attach them in various industries. So industrial attachment is one of our responsibilities as a ministry, and I know we'll be working with NITA to be able to ensure that our youth are taken up to be able to get that experience. There's a lot that is being done by NITA. I will tell you, we are not just looking at the white-collar jobs, we are also looking at even those artisans who have experience without going through any training, yet they have the skill. We have what has been started that is called recognition of prior learning. You recognize a skill that someone has, certified by NITA, and they can also be given the mandate to be able to train others, and NITA helps them in certifying them. I would also be reaching out to the other ministries that will work together to ensure that we take up most of our youths into employment, into attachments, into internships, so that we are able to give them experience and be ready for the job market. You also asked a question on Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, where we'll have to finish malnutrition in 5 years. I want to say malnutrition affects children under 5 years. And I'll be working with most of the county governments that provide ECD education to ensure that these children are protected. We also have NGOs that have come on board that help us as a ministry to be able to provide food, to be able to provide stipends for those vulnerable, the vulnerable population like these children. Currently, there is an ongoing program in the ministry that is funded by World Bank and UNICEF, where the pilot program is being done in 5 counties of Marsabit. It is also being done in Kitui, another 5 counties. So the issue here to be able to spread across the country, we ensure we involve these county governments to ensure that our children do not die of malnutrition. We also ensure that they are vaccinated because they are under 5 years and they should be vaccinated against diseases. The other approach is to ensure that we have education on the masses to prevent malnutrition by ensuring that we provide foods that are right, and if they don't have the foods, we also encourage them to provide, the basics of a healthy diet. We also ensure that the mothers are able to breastfeed their babies, if possible, for the first 6 months. But I know the question could be, if that mother cannot even be able to get food to eat, would she be able to produce milk to be able to breastfeed that baby? In other third world countries, in other developed countries, they have an equivalent of a blood bank, of breast milk bank, where those who have excess milk can be able to donate. Maybe we'll look at that in the near future. But I want to answer Honorable Junet by telling him that we will sort out that issue of malnutrition. It is also my area. I'm passionate about it. I'll go across and see how best we can be able to address the issue. Then you have the increase of savings for mama mboga and basic needs, yet they cannot get the basic needs. I said we will support the mama mboga, the boda boda, using the Hustler Fund, and as they do those businesses, we encourage them to save with NSSF for their future. Savings, how do we save with NSSF? How do we take care of our investments at NSSF? I look forward to streamline the NSSF. We ensure we have a board that is able to take care of the fund and be able to make investments. And we'll be able to do that by ensuring that we have quarterly reports about the investments that are put in the media to ensure that we have transparency. We will also ensure that we have the Auditor General to be able to audit the investments at NSSF, and then generally encourage the culture of saving by Kenyans. Chair, I think I've finished. There was a question by Honorable Bui, I think on the large strikes, or is it? It is Owen, sorry. On the strikes at Kenya IOS, I also want to promise that I'll sit down with them and be able to